Hi, this is Matt with the Intergalactic Herald. Welcome to my Star Atlas Week in Review podcast. This is podcast number 147. Any articles or videos mentioned can be found on my website at intergalacticherald.com. Just look for weekly recap newsletter 195. So just a quick summary of things that happened this past week in Star Atlas. There was the Atlas Brew that occurred on Wednesday where they talked about the open market operations. That was the main topic. Zinc, the Origin season was actually announced to go live after the alpha just ended, and that's going to start on December 16th. And then there was an interesting post, or reply, I should say, in the Foundation Room from Danny, the Chief Product Officer, CPO, that I thought I would go over a little bit today because, again, it continues to kind of give some mindset from the different founders. So anyways, that was pretty much it this past week in Star Atlas. Again, just some of my projects related to Star Atlas. Please do check out my website, intergalacticherald.com. Has a great resources for many things about Star Atlas, including beginner's guides, directories of things like guilds and content creators and tools. Also, you can get a number of different recaps, the weekly recap, basically what you're listening to in this podcast, but also in newsletter form, and any of the community events. I do have an AI summary. And lastly, you can sign up to get announcements emailed to you from the Star Atlas Discord. So again, that's all at intergalacticherald.com. Do have a Star Atlas merch store. You can buy, mugs. Definitely not a great product selection, but just other priorities have come up, but you can check that out at intergalacticgear.com. And if you're a Star Atlas gamer or want to be a Star Atlas gamer, but not interested in joining one of the traditional guilds, I'm trying to start a community for gamers just to hang out called Intergalactic Coalition. You can find that at intergalacticcoalition.com. There's an interest survey there if that's something you might be interested in. So getting into the things again that happened this past week in Star Atlas, as I mentioned, the main one was the Atlas Brew, which again pretty much talked about this new concept they put out. I guess it was at the Econ Forum called the Open Market Operations. So I'll refer you back to that. Star Atlas TV has the full recording of that. Again, you can listen to the Star Atlas or my AI recap. It's on this podcast feed. But basically, in summary, and that's pretty much what the community team went over, just kind of did a summary of this. It's also the last Atlas Brew of the year, so it kind of made sense just to recap the latest news. So basically, again, it's the idea that the Star Atlas team now is going to start selling from their inventory. So instead of just having it sit there in the marketplace at the origination price, the initial price, they will look to sell those ships at a lower price. They only sell them for USDC. And again, this is the idea of being a revenue generator. So apparently at the higher prices, as the team mentioned at the Atlas Brew, those prices were set in a different time with a different, market with both crypto and the world and everything. So this gives them a chance to actually sell at a lower price. And again, trying to generate some cash to come into the business. But one of the things they also mentioned, and now it's come up, I think, twice, and I, again, still don't understand the exact thing, but that they would actually also buy your, but I think that was going to be bought in Atlas. So I'm not, again, exactly sure the pro or con of that, other than, of course, if you have a ship and you want to sell it, I mean, you can get some Atlas, but then what are you going to do with the Atlas? So, but I mean, I guess. But they also mentioned they're going to, quote, burn the ship. So I guess that reduces inventory. And again, this might get into the kind of the economic theory I just don't understand, that if there's less ships, is that going to cause them to go up in price? So I don't know. A lot of this, again, I think will just be, at least from my perspective, just wait and see what actually happens. One thing they did mention, the Atlas Brew, the buy-sale Discord channel that used to exist is coming back. So this is what they call was OTC, over-the-counter trading. Again, it was existed and then it was removed from the official Star Atlas Discord, but I've heard people are still doing it in other places. But they mentioned part of this is because they're going to start pausing the marketplace fees. And one of the reasons I guess people wanted to go off of the Star Atlas marketplace to sell ships and buy ships was that there was a 6%, I think it was 6% transaction fee, which went to the team. So again, if you do it person to person, you're saving that fee. If you're the seller, can't remember. Somebody does it. So kind of like how when you buy and sell a house, there's some fees involved and not both parties pay them. So anyways, apparently they're going to bring that back because then everybody's at an equal place. So, but again, if the marketplace has no fees, why wouldn't you just do it there and have the escrow part come into play, which I think is the motivation why the team's doing it. So, but they did reiterate at the Atlas Brew that the main reason for this open market operations is that the goal is to stop having the team having to sell tokens to fund basically the game development. So if people start buying ships and getting funds that way, then that's where it works. So yeah, anyway, so that was that. I think on Thursday, I remember, sure, maybe it was Wednesday, I can't remember. There was a tweet on, or actually, was it a tweet? I don't know. I saw it in Discord, but I guess it was a link back to a tweet on X, Twitter, that said the Zinc Origin season will be starting on December 16th, which is Tuesday next week for my time. So anyways, that's really interesting because the alpha season ended, I think, on Tuesday, and I thought they said there was a 2-week between, but maybe they were able to move it up. So anyway, so yeah, we'll see where that goes from there. And then the last item I was going to bring up was a post or reply in the Foundation Room from Danny, one of the co-founders, but I'm going to kind of not read it now. I'll read it kind of my thoughts on the state of Star Atlas and kind of do a commentary as we go. So anyway, so yeah, that's pretty much the main things that at least caught my interest this past week in Star Atlas. I'll move on to my next segment where I kind of talk about the state of Star Atlas this past week. But again, I'll get to the Foundation comment kind of at the end. But yeah, I do think this open market operations, now that it's been a good week since the Economic Forum, and now kind of again getting a refresher at the Atlas Brew. So again, it sounds interesting. I mean, if the team can sell ships and make money, I mean, that was always the point of having the marketplace. I mean, if we're being truly honest, I mean, they're just selling made up things. I mean, it's a virtual item. There's no actual spaceship. But again, we were never buying a physical thing. Again, this goes back to the other games and why the ideas of the blockchain gives you the ability to actually own your objects within a game. But in the end, they're all virtual items. Before they're called NFTs, I mean, there were items people wanted in a game, and they were willing to do things in the terms of service allowed you not to do that. Well, this was being upfront about it. So yeah, I mean, I think the revenue goal was always to sell ships. So the idea, again, in a sense, I'm starting to think that it's just basically a repricing, or in this case, a dynamic pricing, because there is no set thing. Yeah, sure, life's different than when they launched the original marketplace and the original ships and things like that. So yeah, I mean, I think this all makes sense. One thing, and I don't know if it was intended, but I definitely kind of picked up on when someone asked if there will be some official documentation on how this will all work. They said, oh yeah, of course. Yeah, we'll do that before we announce it, but we're not, doing it right away. And I don't know if that's, again, just a week later, but I sure thought at the Econ Forum they said in December. But again, they totally could have misheard, or they changed their mind. So, fine. But yeah, it just doesn't feel like something that's coming anytime soon, just also because of the manualness of pricing the ships and which ships are available and things like that. That doesn't sound like any sort of automation. It wasn't like they were going to take from what I gathered, the Atlas Brew, they're not going to take every single ship and just knock it off 90% prices or something like that. So this seems more like a planned, guided thing. So yeah, so just sound like something's coming anytime soon, or at least before the end of the year. So and then, but really in the end, at least to my perspective about this open market operation, it seems like the real main question is, will people just buy ships with USDC? It's one thing, I mean, if you already had some Atlas or whatever, or any other crypto coins, I guess it doesn't matter where the crypto, but converting wherever you have it, either putting new money into your crypto or coming from another source, converting that all to USDC to give to the team to buy the ship. I think it'll just be, are there people willing to do that? Now, this could, of course, come into play when someone wants to get involved with the Zinc airdrop, and one aspect of that is you got to play the game, and so you need a ship. So again, there is definitely a synergy where these two things could go hand in hand. So again, I think we'll just have to wait and see there, and that might be enough, jumpstart this process. So excuse me, related to the Zynq launch next Tuesday, definitely seems much more doable. I know I've been pretty much not feeling like it's a really good idea to launch this stuff right before the holidays, but Tuesday is pretty long. And I also realized if truly they were going to be, originally said there was 2 weeks between them, they have been running this test for 6 weeks. So, I mean, I'm sure they got tons and tons of feedback and things there. But I think the real thing that dawned on me why this is maybe not as risky as I thought initially is this, again, is not on Solana. They don't have to deploy anything. This is literally their own blockchain. So I would bet, or I would have assumed that the alpha test is on the system, hardware, software, cloud, whatever. And literally they're just making it live because they've been testing it and interacting with the Sage and Holosym and all that kind of stuff. So, maybe not all the connections will be live on the beginning with the holiday, or maybe they all will be, or it's just based on what's currently gone. So again, I realize that this isn't something now they got to go from a test bed. This is probably on the live system to begin with. So yeah, so it definitely seems like something that makes sense to come out next Tuesday. However, again, other than this tweet and then a couple Discord announcements, which were basically pointing back to the tweet. And if I remember correctly, it did have a video. I think I saw it. So yeah, I'm recording this on Friday night and that came out earlier, and Tuesday's literally 2 business days away. Doesn't seem like a lot of promotion, but I did also remember that there was a lot of talk of getting influencers on board for this. So it might be one of those things you don't really hype it before it's available. You wait till it's literally live, and then influencers can say, hey, go here, check this out, and you literally can sign up at that moment. So yeah, this could be one of those kind of not soft launches, but in the sense that there's nothing to launch. You just make it live, and then you have all these people who have their followers, hey, it exists, go check it out. So again, it may all align right there, though I do still hope there's more documentation coming out on stuff. But again, we'll see. And again, that's community could always step up too on that. So anyway, so yeah, we'll see on that. So they did mention at the Atlas Brew, and it was announced that the next Atlas Brew is being supplanted by a town hall, but no information was given on what it's going to be about. I still feel like just based on past precedent, it'll be definitely a recap of things that have occurred. So, I mean, they've done that every year right before Christmas, so that makes sense. But I am thinking now more and more that maybe to temper expectations on the number of releases, partly because we now have a date for Zynq, so that's definitely being released, and that would be a big thing, or one of the biggest. So how much other things do you want to do? UE5 still feels pretty likely in my opinion, and partly because they've always released one right before the holidays the last 2 years, so it feels like, yeah, that would there. But now I'm kind of thinking that could be it. Holosym seems way too many things to come out, and again, they've stated they don't want to release it before it's ready, so that one feels like, yeah, probably not a Holosym. And C4 is not coming out, and even I kind of speculated last week that maybe the test would come out, but again, if it's a test, why would you release it when you got these other things? So again, I think maybe tamping down a little bit of how many things are coming out, but again, if Zynq's coming. They announced it on Tuesday. I mean, again, I guess they could miss it, but again, given, like I said, it's probably on the blockchain, their actual blockchain. They've already tested it for 6 weeks. It's literally play the current stuff of Star Atlas that already exists. In fact, in that sense, you're not going to really change anything because you let people mine, and then new things come out in the rest of the first quarter, and those are other places people can get experience points. So we'll just see on all that. So anyway, so that's kind of it. And then I want to just end up with this post that Danny, the co-founder, put in the Foundation Room, because I thought it was really good. And again, as I typically do with these, I don't ever write down the question, but only because to me it's more of just looking at the answer and talking on that. So anyways, he I think something about the question was like which releases are coming. He noted that one of the first mega releases they have identified was actually an alien big game hunting, and I totally forgot that was part of the roadmap. And he said, well, yeah, we're still on track for that. But this is where I think, and more the interesting part to me anyways, is when he kind of went off from that into otherwise. He said, however, as a crowd-funded game, there are unique challenges where the community needs content along the way. It's impossible for us to say just trust us and wait years for release. So to satisfy that demand, as we build functionality and features, we create a release around it to deliver content and receive feedback along the way. So I wanted to just kind of look at that reply because I think it's really actually interesting. One is crowd-funded game, and I guess it is, whether this is a, Kickstarter or whatever. I kept thinking, I came into Star Atlas after all the posters had sold, so I didn't really even understand anything about that. But in reality, I guess that is just a different crowdfunding way. Instead of saying, hey, I'm going to pledge this, if you reach it, then everybody chips in their money. They said, hey, we got these things for sale. Again, there was the promise of ships and resources down the road. Yeah. No matter what the method, they're both crowdfunding. So again, I thought that was actually kind of a really interesting thing. And then, of course, the idea that because it's crowdfunded, basically you can't get these mega releases and just work in secret and not build in public. You have to be showing stuff. But again, really focusing on building functionality and then releasing that functionality. And then he actually had a numbered list of things. And so I'll just read that. It was character movement, showroom, summoning SFT ships, showroom, hover and flight mode, ground and air racing, ship combat racing, weapons, arena shooter, planet tech, Gallia, multiplayer, showroom, gunplay things, game pacing, Gallia. So actually, I thought this was really insightful on how he showed it because me, have only thought of it as the products, UE5, Sage, and things like that. So, but what's interesting again is pretty much all of this is UE5. This has nothing to talk about the economy or anything. And again, I'm not saying that they're not all melded together because we saw from that product map a couple weeks ago that Danny produced. I mean, he knows where all the pieces fit together. But again, I was just really fascinated by this fact that these are all the UE5 things. But what was more interesting, again, showroom, racing, shooter, first-person Gallia, was what was on the first side of it is, hey, we showed character movement. We showed ships flying in. We showed hover mode, flight mode, ship combat, weapons, planet tech, multiplayer, game pacing. That's all the product. I mean, yes, the result of that is, hey, I can have combat racing, or hey, I can see my ship, or hey, I can go play a shooter. But the arena shooter just means weapons are working. That's all it means. And weapons will be used in multiple aspects. So again, I'm really always really thankful. And again, if there's any downside of having access to the team and seeing all kind of how the stuff is made is when stuff like this gets published and you really go, oh, now I see how the connection is. Because again, I'm sure every game studio is doing all of this, but again, a game doesn't come out for 3 to 5 years or whatever, and then, comes out and then they show it at a gaming conference and they're going to release the next fall for the holiday season or something like that. But all of this stuff has been done years in advance, just you never knew it existed. So anyways, yeah, so I think that was really great. And then he continued, and what was interesting was the references to Star Citizen, which has always been kind of compared to Star Atlas. So I'll just read that. It says, as far as Star Citizen, the only thing I've referenced in relation to Star Atlas is that there are magical moments buried in Star Citizen that are difficult to access due to setup and engagement time. My goal has always been to find those moments and make them accessible to more types of players. It's a similar endeavor where good Marvel movies start coming out, and now a mainstream audience could see why so many comic book nerds love the stories and actions of them, or how GTA is not a car sim, but it makes a bunch of types of realistic looking vehicles fun to play with. So I intend to make those awesome things about SC, Star Citizen, accessible even on a gamepad. I'd say I'm basically aligned with it, and I thought I always made that stuff clear. It's just a matter of time until these things are viable, and they do take time, and crowdfunding games create a unique challenge that gamers aren't used to and getting access to. Also, we don't even need to have a login or wallet. We can just have a play button and the wallet appears in the background, and those who want to continue playing, earning, or move their account, then they would understand what the process is. That's already intended. Nothing has changed since the start, just adaptations to new demands from the community, market, or otherwise. So again, without the question, I know some of this doesn't make sense, but again, it's fine. Because I was really wanted to take away again that again, the point is this is a crowdfunded game. They're unique challenges because the gamers aren't used to having access at this point. They're developing the mechanics and things like that. And again, whether it's crypto wallet or just hit play and then you get the wallet later, it sounds like, again, all of these things are part of this game design. This has been from the foundation. They have all of this stuff in their mind, and we only get, even with the crowdfunded, we only get to see these little things like, hey, the ship can fly. So again, I found this again incredibly insightful. So appreciative that they're spending the time to comment when people post in there. Again, I wouldn't expect them to post or answer every question or whatever. It's when things obviously resonate with different team members who do want to post. But again, I think it really puts a lot of this in perspective and really helps to understand there is a vision, there is a plan, they're developing something, and we're just seeing how that stuff is made. So anyways, I found that really cool. You want to go look at the question, the Foundation Room is public now anyway, so you can go check that out. So anyways, yeah, so that just kind of wraps up my thoughts on kind of the state of StarOS this past week. Last thing, again, just go to my journey playing StarOS. I haven't. The Zinc alpha season finished up, website kind of went down, and then I realized you just click the button and it was back. But again, nothing's accruing or anything like that. So yeah, we'll see. Kind of, I don't know, I'm very intrigued for next week. Obviously, the town hall, I think, will be great for information sharing. Again, Zinc, the next season launches. Be very curious to see how that goes. Yeah, I guess I'll probably, I don't know. Still, like, again, if I play now, I lose all the Solana fees. So I don't know. We'll just see. But to be honest, now that I'm thinking out loud, question is whether or not I want to spend any time on this on winter break. And given kind of the slowness of stopping playing for months now, it just feels like something that just let it be during winter break and pick it up when it goes. I'll definitely can, I assume we'll still have the check-ins on Zinc. I guess we'll see. I think the check-in still is the main thing, plus the playing and stuff. Oh, the one thing that did pop up, never mind. I don't remember I read that, so I better not say that. Sorry. Oh, no, it's got to be public knowledge. Yeah, sorry. In the Zinc interface, it looks like claim stakes appeared for the first time. So yeah, I'm kind of excited about that because I have some claim stakes, so another passive way. So yeah, so we'll see how all that works out. So anyways, yeah, thanks for listening to my thoughts on StarOS for the past week. Again, if you're interested in being on this podcast, I'd love to have some guests, so please go to intergalacticherald.com, look for my contact page, or you can reach out to me on Discord. While you're on my website, intergalacticherald.com, please do check out the guides, directories, recaps, the Discord news feed. If you want a StarOS mug and you're in the United States, please check out intergalacticgear.com. And if you're a gamer, want to hang out with other gamers, love to get a group together, set up a community for that at intergalacticcoalition.com. And this is Matt with Intergalactic Herald. That was your StarOS Week in Review. Have a great week ahead.